What's up, everybody? I know it's been a while since I've done a video, and I'm pretty sure the last video you saw was when I was working on the dart right here. That is not the dart. Matter of fact, I haven't been doing videos because I just life and then haven't been wanting to, but you can see I added a new addition on the front garage, so the dart is now sitting up there. But part of the reason I've been busy is, well, not wanting to film, is I've been working on that. I built that during the summer. I think the deck might have been on the house, but now I'm working on this, which I know people have been wondering what I've been going on with this, because last video I did on this, which is I had the tarp on here because I was painting these parts for it last night, is the 5th Avenue. I think the last update I did on this thing is, I can't see that, I was working on the 4-link setup for it, which is all done. It's functional. I drove it all last summer with it, and it works a hell of a lot better than the leaf springs. But now, you can see I got the transmission out. This was the 904 that was in it. But what I did was, being able to drive like maybe 50 miles an hour on the highway, not even the highway, just in general, with it being all arred up, just wasn't having it. So, I've got a A518 overdrive tranny from a 93 Dakota in here, and what I had to do is I had to modify the trans tunnel support up there. I had to cut that out, and then of course go and make a new cross member, and then I had to use a GM style trans mount for it, or bushing, but that should definitely help out. And of course, got a nice shiny aluminum drive shaft. Luckily I only paid 35 bucks off it off Marketplace, but I guesstimated wrong on my measurements, and it's about 2.5 inches too short. So buy another one of these at $400, or I'll have to make a new one out of steel. But the current problem or issue I'm fixing now is the front suspension. So what I did is I took out the torsion bars out because they were backed off pretty much all the way and pretty much popping out. And the other issue I had was when I first built it in 2008, I had these in there for my cylinder mounts. Well, they were just kind of tacked in there and didn't sit very well. They broke loose and were just kind of flopping around in there. So now I cut this off and welded a plate, 1/4 inch plate in here. It's welded on the bottom side here too. And actually you can see a tack weld right there where that original piece was. But now I got a piece of pipe in here. It's welded to the back piece, welded to this plate, and then I got it welded to this now, so that shouldn't move at all. And then I got these, cut these off, because this was originally, I think this is the left side, but they were welded on there and held the torsion bar in place. So to eliminate that, I went to like an early A-body, B-body setup, kinda. I made a couple little brackets I'll bolt on to where the torsion bar originally mounted to. And then I know it looks kind of funny, but I made these strut rods here that will bolt on where the torsion bar originally bolted out of the lower control arm, so that'll keep the control arm from moving back and forth. So I went and painted all this stuff last night. Luckily it was just some free paint or whatever I had, because it didn't quite turn out the way I wanted, but just for the suspension that you won't really see. It'll probably get scuffed up anyways, because I don't know if that is from one of the times it broke or and drug on the road or what, but they'll get used and abused, so it is what it is. But also I'm doing this so that way hopefully the car will still lay out on the ground, but hopefully I can get more lift out of it. So, and part of that, well, I've had these on there since like 2010. These 2-liter upper control arms. They were made by Joe's Racing Products, and I think they are like a Camaro style. But you can see they have been modified to fit the Lopar MFJ bodies. But when I got them, these plates were welded in there like that. They don't come with these plates on there. So someone had added these, and they were binding up on the upper control arm bracket in here. They would hit. They would either hit or they were super close. So, cut them out, and then with let's see if I can do this here. You can see the ball joint screws in is at an upward angle, and that was eliminated also because the ball joint would bottom out. It would bind up on this edge here. So what I did there is, instead of having the control arm mounted this way, flip it around, mount it this way, and I got a pair of QA1 1-inch extended ball joints. So that'll still give me that should give me more lift and allow me to drop down lower like I've always wanted, so that K-frame will hit the ground. But another issue with that is with this A518 trans, the trans pan sticks down way lower than the frame rails, so that might be an issue. And also with the steering, because I would get a bunch of bump steer. When you'd raise it and then lower it, the tires would do this, in and out. So I picked up some new inner tie rods, some PST sleeves, and I've got these extended ball joints, or tie rod ends, from Speedway. So hopefully I can get the geometry right, so hopefully I won't have any bump steer or very little bump steer. And then while I was at it, I noticed my brake hoses were shot, so got a pair of brand new front brake hoses. And hopefully I can get all this together soon, because then I gotta start body work, which I don't want to do. Entire body work, but I pulled the rockers off. I noticed, I pulled the trim off. I noticed that the rockers are soft and rotted, so I figure I'll cut them out all the way back, and then I'm thinking maybe I'll use like square tubing and cut and modify it to match the shape here of the rocker, and I'll weld that in to help strengthen the car, and then I'll tie that in to the frame rails and frame connectors better. And I still got to add some torque boxes. And then doing all that, I got to replace the brake lines and the fuel lines front to back, because I noticed the fuel line had started leaking right about here under the rear door. So another thing I got fixed, I might redo the trailing arm setup on the rear axle so I can get longer ones in there. Wishing to do that with the uppers, the exhaust has to change. So it ain't one thing, it's another. But the tire, or the lower control arms here, they bolt on to the factory leaf spring mount. What I'm thinking about doing is bring that forward. So they're factory mounted right about here. Thinking about cutting this part of the floor here out, flip that side to side, and move the mount up here further. And then that way it'll move the pivot point of the rear axle from here, it'll move it up here further. Maybe. Still not sure if I'm going to do that though. So that's why I got the interior ripped out. I seen there was some surface rust starting to form on the floorboard, so get that taken care of. I took out that big heavy original insulation mat, toss that, I'll put some better sound deadener in there. But that is what's going on with that. Shut the heater off. I know that's loud. But hopefully I can start assembling this, get all those parts back on this thing. I also got a new aluminum radiator. Now I just gotta find some fittings so I can hook up the transcooler lines back up, because that was the problem with the original radiator. Is apparently the transcooler in the radiator had cracked and it sent coolant into the transmission. So I gotta find fittings, replumb that in. It does have a aftermarket cooler up here, but I'd like to get this one hooked back up. I gotta get the fan shroud cleaned up. I got that in the house. I gotta get that cleaned up. I do have it so I can mount that back on here. Gotta replace my power steering belt that got chewed up this year, but it is coming along. I also got to fix the header panel. Has the typical issue of the studs. I don't know if you can see that. The studs pull right out of the fiberglass, so I got to figure out how I'm going to fix that and suck that back together. And one big thing, I want to find a fucking power moonroof for this thing too. But when I do that, I'm going to have to repaint the roof at least. I do have some of this color left, but I'm thinking about doing one of the factory options and going from this body line here and two-toning the top half of silver, kind of like the dash color there. Two-toning the silver from this body line up. So it'll just be from this body line, the roof, and then the hood, which I still have to paint anyway, so that'd be a good time to paint that to match the two-tone. Or I just do it this color and throw some patterns on here, since the engine bay is all patterned out. I think this, if I remember right, I think this was done in 2011, this paint job. So, now to clean, paint, and assemble. One nice thing about pretty much having your own junkyard is when you need parts, you got them. So on my car, I pulled these little inner fender pieces off so that the cylinders would clear, but now they redid the cylinder, or the cylinder mounts, and I got the wrong size. I can, I believe they'll sit lower, and I can put them back on. There's the old ram runner. That's another thing I had done this summer was I had this whole area dug out and had gravel put in, because in the springtime and heavy rains this would actually flood out and all the water would run through the garage. So had to take care of that, because it's no fun having a river running through your garage. So get these this one inner fender bracket off, or cover, and get to cleaning, painting, and hopefully get some assembly done. So it'd be nice to get that thing back, get the front end back down on the ground. I guess it wouldn't really be on the ground because I still got all that body work to do. It'd be easier to do with it up in the air. Now get this off. The thing that sucks about putting these back on is when I cleaned up the engine bay, I welded up all these unused holes. I ground this, or filled this seam in, got rid of all unneeded holes in the firewall, like the AC port, got rid of that. The AC drain down there, I filled that in. But when I did all that, I welded up these screw holes. Of course, I still have these 3 holes from the cruise control unit on my car, because that's the only way I could run the speedometer. But I found out afterwards that you can get a truck speedometer cable and just run it through the firewall down to the tranny. So I still have these, unfortunately I have these 3 holes left in it, but I'll have to drill new holes for these, but so be it. Hopefully I can get these, oh, that screw's gone, get these back on and help clean up the engine bay a little bit. So I'll get this off and go back in the garage. Well, I got some assembly done, but some of the bolts I bought were a bit too short, or too long. So got the lower control arms in and the strut rods and spindles on. But so that's how you can see. I made a bracket that went in place of the torsion bar to accept the strut rod. Granted, these ain't tight yet because I still have to adjust it, but and then in the front here, I made these brackets to accept heim joints, so that way when it goes through its travel, that it'll actually rotate and move as it needs. And these were actually 4-link bars that my brother had bought for his 40 Dodge, but he didn't like them because it was a cheap kit, and both ends are right-hand thread, where it should be right-hand thread and left-hand thread on one end, so when you can just turn the bar to either lengthen or shorten it, but to adjust it you have to take it out, adjust each end, and then put it in and keep doing that until you get it right, or adjust one end. So I just cut it off to the length I need. I welded a bolt, ground the head of a bolt so it fits snug inside the pipe here, and I welded it so it's a stud to go in there, in that bracket. But I got this light. And then, as you can see, now with the new mount, there it is. I gotta clean these up yet, but I should be able to take and put them back on. And it'll be tight, but I should have clearance. That clearance there should not change at all. It'll be tight, but it'll work. And I'll take and clean them up, polish them up. That cylinder is now wedging. These are the bolts I got. I was going to place them all with grade 8s, but the ones I bought were a bit long. And that's the only one that fit. So tomorrow I'll buy some shorter bolts. But, as you can see, moves just fine. Especially for what I need. So tomorrow after I buy new bolts for there, I can replace those, I can put the upper control arms back on and get the spindle all back in place. But I think I gotta buy a wrench too because I can't find my wrench for these. And then, while I had the lower control arms out before I painted them, I replaced the bushings because they were loose, and this was one of the inner bushings. Just absolutely toast. So, new bushings, all new hardware. It should work pretty good. But since I gotta go to town tomorrow and buy bolts, I'm gonna run up to Harbor Freight, grab some more tools, and hopefully tomorrow I can get this all reassembled and working again. But since I gotta do that, I guess I'm done for the night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Alright guys, it's another day. I didn't get here yesterday till late. Did a bunch of running around, and well, the winter beater had picked up a noise in the front end, so I had to bring that back here and jack it up and check it. Looks like the dust shield is just rubbing on the brake rotor, but we'll see when I drive it on my way to work. But this didn't quite go as planned yesterday. I went to go get new bolts for the shock, or the upper control arm plate, and the shortest they had was 1.5 inches long, and the original bolts were like 1 1/4. So I had to cut 6 of the 8 bolts down. Then got everything else on. Took the rotor or the calipers off because, well, I'm gonna clean paint this one. And I have a brand new rotor or caliper for the other side, so but I gotta replace these hoses. But I went to go put my tie rods on, and my adjusting sleeves are about 1.25 inches, 1.1 inches too short. So I was going to take these tie rods off and just use my adjusting sleeve, but I can't do that because these are the upgraded 11/16 tie rods. So that ain't going to work. So my way to work, I got to stop and grab some new adjusting sleeves, or order them because I know the parts aren't going to have them. And then maybe this car may or may not be going to a car show in a couple weeks, so that means I'm gonna have to hurry up and get my ass in gear and slam this thing together. Got the radiator out, got the fan shroud cleaned up, so I just gotta put that in. I bought this aluminum radiator. It was supposed to be a bolt-in, but I had to drill holes here on each side for the upper mount, and then slot out the lower holes some more, and then drill holes in the flange here for the fan shroud. So after you do all that, yeah, it's a bolt-in deal, but not until you go and re-drill holes and add holes and all that. But I can get that in, get that knocked off the list. What the hell else was I gonna do? I know there's something else. Oh yeah, I got my inner fender covers cleaned up pretty good. I got new holes drilled, but of course I don't have bolts because I'm going to go with the button head Allen bolts like I got everywhere else. So I got to stop by bolts on my way to work. And that one, this bolt here, this hole, my drill don't fit in here. So I gotta grab my 90-degree drill from work, and hopefully I can get that in there with a cut down bit. But it is coming together. I even had to polish out the underside of them. I gotta push that back. Need a bit of a gap there, so either I'm gonna have to push this in or push this out. You can see the cylinder hit it there before when that one piece I had tack welded in there broke loose, so the cylinder was just flopping around. But I think what I'm going to end up doing, maybe next weekend, can't see shit, is I will, hell, maybe even throughout the week, I might take and move the upper control arm mounts forward, because right now you can see that the upper trailing arms, this one's backed off a little bit, but normally they're bottomed out. So if I can move those forward 2 inches or so, and then I can adjust the lowers and maybe move this axle forward just a little bit, so maybe I can get it to do that standing 3. But I got so many things going on. Got batteries charging up, so hopefully, I don't know if it'll be going to the show or not, but if it does, if I get the call to bring it in, it will be ready. I'll have to take and top off hydraulic oil, I know that. Let's see here, like that. Bring this one around. Oh, ain't on very good. Well, this one does not want to cooperate. There you go. get them charged up. I know I'll have to charge up the battery up here, or pretty sure that's a good battery. See, it's from 2018, so it's about it's old. So I guess I'll get this radiator slammed in, and then I can get that crossed off the list. Maybe I'll start cleaning up calipers or something, but yeah. I can't hang the exhaust back on until after I do the trailing arm, so can't cross that off the list yet either. It's always something. Alright, we'll get this radiator in. Alright, radiator is bolted in. Which reminded me that if you do buy one of these cheapy Amazon radiators and you want to put your stock fan shroud on, not only do you have to drill holes into this flange, you gotta use a nut to space it out so you don't just crush and break this, but you also have to open up the holes in your fan shroud here to a little wider to actually fit in this radiator, or on the radiator. Then I remembered since I got my bolts, I better make sure that I got, let's see, what size is it? I got enough washers and hopefully nylock nuts. We got here, we got regular nuts. I got enough 1/4-inch lock washers and plenty of 1/4-inch flat washers. Perfect. So I guess I better buy some extra bolts just to have on hand. So that's one less thing I have to actually buy. And then, so I need bolts for those. Need to order up adjusting sleeves. Probably need to buy brake fluid. Actually, I know I'll have to buy brake fluid. Oh man, I got a lot to do in a couple weeks. And being that I work afternoons, I get maybe a couple hours out here in the morning, and if I don't work late and I have energy when I get home, maybe I can come out for another couple hours, but more than likely not. But if I'll bust ass and get this thing ready just in case. It's also a good motivator to get it done, is set a goal to when to have it done. So that way you have to have it done. But other than that, I guess button up a couple things here, and then I gotta go to work. So I guess that'll be it for this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see. Maybe you want to see more of my brother's car over there. Maybe you want to see more of the projects. I got that car buried back there. I mean, I've got the dually. I've got updates on that. I got the Dart up there. The Dakota, that's tore apart. I got the limo up there. I've got the 47. Thinking that's going to be the next project after I get the 5th and the Dakota built. That'll be the next one I tear into. Because I already have an engine. Stuffed over in the corner there. So, if you want to see more of that, let me know. And I'll see you in the next video.